Hey everyone, I'm doing my next section of my John Maxwell with this book, and I'm finishing off the section on discernment today. So yesterday I had looked at Proverbs 2:1-15, and today I'm looking at Hiram and Solomon striking a deal. This is from 1 Kings 5:1-12. So we have an important meeting going on right now in the SADC region. Canada is like a welfare state now, similar to places in Africa. Donald Trump had called Africa a shithole, but there's a lot of good things coming out of Africa. There's development taking place, there's infrastructure being built, and our community in Africa is not going to food banks. So my friends in Zimbabwe actually know that I'm worse off in Canada than I would be if I was at home. Because if I was at home, they would not allow me to go and use the food bank. I would not be in this situation. They would have found a job for me. They would have helped me. They would have not said, oh yeah, you and your mom can go and use the food banks. But it is what it is. All I can do is to pray from here. And I mean, it wasn't my choice to leave Zimbabwe and to come to Canada, but I've done everything I can, and I put my faith first, and it's that same faith that they used against me when I went for that psychiatric assessment, and that's why they call me delusional, but I'm not delusional. So what goes around comes around. All the reports are out now. When I reported what was happening to me, and hundreds of us who work in Canada and at Teleperformance, people didn't believe me. I'm a citizen of this country, but they treat me like I'm 12 years old. You got 3 minutes to go to the washroom. You get 30 seconds between your calls, your chats, and your emails. It's like slavery. Hurry up, hurry up. Why are you taking so long? Or why do you not spend more time with the people? Show some compassion. That's how I get treated. And it's not just me. And when I talked about all those things that are taking place with people working in people's homes, doing the cleaning and all that, the abuse, no one believed me. The bulk of the people who are working at Teleperformance are on this temporary foreign worker program. They're students, they're people coming into the country. I took that job out of desperation, because none of the executives that I worked with at Toronto Western, at RBC, at TD, at HSBC, at BMO, I worked at so many places. I worked at Regis College, I worked for U of T. Not one of them would open the doors for me and help me to get into a good paying job. Oh, we just need somebody to do this little bit of work for us. And that's how they treated me from the time I came here. So my family's gone into debt, gone into poverty, and is using food banks, and it's slavery. That's just the reality. I reached out to so many of the South Africans, the Jewish community, the Muslim community, the Hindu community, all of whom I've helped in Canada. Not one of them has helped to open doors for me to get into a good paying executive assistant job, or to get into human resources. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. And not even one person, but when they need the help, they know who to come to. I've got my mom's support, and I've got my sister and my brother, but I deserve better from this country, because I put God first, and I'm a spiritual director, and they don't treat me with any respect. There's no accommodation for my health needs. Even with a doctor's note, and the doctor makes that determination, not the employer. And they should have accommodated me, because the operations managers know I did a very good job for them. And I've helped to make things better for other people who are there, who are still working in all these companies. So if I get a job in South Africa or Zimbabwe or Botswana, I won't stay here, because we don't treat our people with such cruelty. And it's not only me that's saying it about teleperformance. There are hundreds of people who are saying the same thing. And they're like, Belinda, you've been here so long. You mean to tell me nobody's willing to help you? Not even all these recruiters you registered with. I'm like, yeah, not one person. Not one person is calling me and saying they've got a permanent job for me. And they're like, come on, you're so good. I said, yeah, so? I said, everybody goes through what I'm going through. Sometimes you get lucky and you find a sponsor within a company that's willing to help open doors for you. But my experience is a common experience. It's not uncommon. So that's why I'm glad that Amnesty International took this up and the truth is out now. Because now nobody can say I'm delusional, I'm not normal, I need to take psychiatric treatment. They just can't do it. Even my new doctor that came here from England told me I'm normal. And he just met me. He asked me, what are you doing to manage your stress? I told him I exercise, I listen to music. And he asked me, do you go to church? I said, yes, I do go to church. He's like, that's good. You must continue to do that. And he asked me, do you journal? I said, yes, I journal. So I'm doing all the right things. And so these people that call me delusional and said I'm in need of psychiatric care and I can't hold a job, they can go fuck themselves. Really and truly. It broke my heart to hear my sister and my mother crying like that. And it changed me, and I'm not going to go back to the way I used to be. I'll continue to guide the African leaders from here, and I'll continue to encourage them to put God first and to pray before they make their decisions and ask for God's wisdom and discernment. Because they treat us like slaves here, and I'm not lying about it. It's the reality. I'm glad Amnesty International is bringing out these reports, because I took those jobs because I didn't have any choice. I didn't have any choice. I'm treated like how the temporary foreign workers get treated. Thankfully, I've got my own place. I live in my own place, so I don't have to go and live on the street or put myself on a 2-year waiting list for subsidized housing like I did when I sold my place. Because nobody would be bothered, including the Catholic community, to take me in and to help me. They couldn't be bothered. Because why? Their own family comes first. So next time, don't come to me and don't ask me for help and don't ask me to take you into the church and introduce you and introduce your families to Father Larry. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because nobody's there for me when I need people. I'm not going to help anybody anymore until things come right for me. I'm only going to help the African leaders. That's what I'm going to do. So today's reading was from 1 Kings 5, 1 to 12. And this is basically about Hiram, king of Tyre, hearing that Solomon was now anointed king to succeed his father David. And so he sends envoys to Solomon because he was always on friendly terms with David. And what is an envoy? An envoy is a peace messenger. So that's what's happening right now in Africa. They're looking for a way to end the war in the Congo and to bring about peace there. And how does Solomon respond? He tells him that he knows that he's waged wars against David from all sides, and he couldn't build a temple for the name of the Lord God until his enemies were under his feet. And then he tells him, but now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, and there is no adversary or disaster. I intend therefore to build a temple for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord told my father David, when he said, your son, whom I will put on the throne in your place, will build a temple for my name. So give orders that cedars of Lebanon be cut for me. My men will work with yours, and I will pay you for your men whatever wages you set. You know that we have no one so skilled in felling timber as the Sidonians. When Hiram heard Solomon's message, he was greatly pleased, and said, Praise be to the Lord today, for he has given David a wise son to rule over this great nation. So Hiram sent word to Solomon, I have received the message you sent me, and will do all you want in providing the cedar and juniper logs. My men will haul them down from Lebanon to the Mediterranean Sea, and I will float them as rafts by the sea to the place you specify. There I will separate them, and you can take them away. And you are to grant my wish by providing food for my royal household. In this way, Hiram kept Solomon supplied with all the cedar and juniper logs he wanted. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household, in addition to 20,000 baths of pressed olive oil. Solomon continued to do this for Hiram year after year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom, just as he had promised. There were peaceful relations between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. So you can see here what was important to these two different leaders. For the one leader, putting God first and obeying the wishes of his father was important, building a temple for the Lord. For the other one, he wanted peace so that he could build up his kingdom. And King Solomon chooses the best trees. If you take training in essential oils, you'll find that, and even in the Bible, it talks about the importance of these trees. So the cedars of Lebanon are the tallest trees, and they are the sturdiest. They are the trees that are used in building of temples for the Lord, in building of churches. They are the wood is very, very strong, and it's very, very important. And juniper is also used for building. It has a distinct smell. If you enter into a temple, if the temple is built properly, you get that whiff of the cedar and of the juniper. And these trees, this is not John Maxwell, I'm just telling you this because I know my friends are watching. These trees, they have very good qualities in them. They have qualities of being antiseptic. They use juniper in the hospitals for disinfectants, and they have very good healing properties. So they are not only there for the glory of the Lord, they're also there to help with the health of the people. And everything that is done in that temple or in that church, it's to bring glory to God. And everything of King Solomon's life, he didn't ask for anything except from wisdom from the Lord. And Hiram, he went to him for peace. So that's what was important to him. He wanted peace. This is the first question. Why do you think Hiram initiated contact with Solomon by sending his envoys to the new king? So he wanted good relations. He wanted the peace. I mentioned that. And we can look at that. What do we do in our countries when we come to our countries? So when I went to Rotman, when I came to Canada, I came to Canada because it was marketed to me. It was pitched to me. They had brochures in the UK about how Canada was a land of milk and honey, land of opportunity, land where you could get health care for everyone, where there would be ample housing available, and where I, as an executive assistant, had skills that were in demand. So I would come in and I would get a job right away, and things would be nice for me. I wouldn't have to worry. So when I came in, I went to Rotman, and I talked to Alison Brown there. She was the coordinator that helped me. And when they had their book launch, she took me and she introduced me to Paul Martin, because he was the one they used to talk about in Canada, about how good he was, what a good finance minister he was, how he ran the country well as prime minister. So I talked to him, about my journey, my struggles, how hard it was, how I couldn't get work for almost a year after coming to Canada because they were discriminating and saying that they wanted Canadian experience, and I couldn't even get a work packing boxes in a factory or cleaning or doing anything. Nobody would hire me. And he told me, well, that is a problem in this country, but wait until the Liberals come in, we're going to fix it. And what did they fix? They didn't fix anything. It's worse now than it was then. So what Allison did for me and what Rodman did for me, they invited me to those events. And because I was there, I could go up and meet him. And they told me, people in the audience told me, don't be afraid of him. He's a very nice man. You could go and speak to him and tell him what your situation is, what's happening. So that's how we build envoys of peace. But if we don't do what Solomon did and put the Lord first, those envoys of peace will quickly crumble. The second question is, who displayed greater discernment in this interaction, Hiram or Solomon? Why? So I would say Solomon showed greater discernment. He asked for the temple to be built with the finest woods to honor the Lord, as his father told him he would do. He obeyed his father and he obeyed the Lord. And he brought peace for his people. And Hiram, he did show discernment, but Solomon's was greater. So Hiram got what he wanted for his people. He was promised by Solomon wages, whatever they set them to be. And he got the opportunity to use his skills for his people. And he also got food for them. He said that I will separate them and you can take them away, talking about the rafts, and you are to grant my wish by providing food for my royal household. So he looked after his own household. But King Solomon looked after the nation. By building that temple and by doing right by God, he looked after the nation. He didn't only look after his household. So Hiram got the work, he got the money, he got the food for his people and for his household. And then the third question, do you think the deal they struck was even, or did one of them do better than the other? Explain your answer. So everybody thinks different, but for me, I would say Solomon got the better deal, because out of the temple, as various Bible stories have shown us, comes healing, comes provision, taking care of the priests, the community, large numbers of families. And that's the wisdom that Solomon was blessed with, the wisdom of discernment. And the wisdom will always help him to make good decisions. Hiram also got a good deal, but God's blessings on Solomon surpassed that. So that's my thinking. That's how I think, and that's how I read the scripture. That's how I interpret. And I'm continuing my job search. And like millions, I'm continuing to use my voice and to say what's happening to me as a Christian in Canada is wrong, it's unacceptable, and I'm not being paid what I'm worth, and I'm continuing to put God first. And for me, I'm not happy that there's so much abuse and so much pain and so many of us are going through this, but I'm happy that Amnesty International took it up. Because if they had left it with Marco Mendocino, what happens to us will continue happening to us. The police will say there's no evidence and you do not understand what we are saying, this is your family. That's what will happen. It's in your head. You're making it up. You're lying to the police. Now Amnesty International took it up. I wrote to Bono so many times because it wasn't only affecting me. And I even told Ndidi, our CEO, when she came, many of us spoke to her, and she said she wants to be kept informed because we are coming here, we are investing our lives in this country, and we're being treated very, very badly because we are Christian. Prayers are the starting point. Out of those prayers comes the action, and out of that comes God's blessing. What's happening to Canada is a punishment, because every other religion gets placed first. Even with this maid, it's nonsense. Mercy killings are nonsense. It's a punishment. I will leave and I will go back to Africa. My friends say, we organized a job for you, come back. I'll go. Why should I stay here when I have no pension, I have no benefits? They get access to a doctor quicker in Africa than I get here. People are lining up, we can't get doctors in this country. So why should I stay here and continue to have my life be pushed into the ground, buried? Let the South Africans do what they want. They're only supporting each other. So let them do it, and let me live my life in peace. Zimbabwe doesn't deserve what's being done to her. The African leaders will always go back to Zimbabwe because we are the better people. We are the ones who put the Lord first, and we do it for everyone. South Africa has never done that, ever.